Hi everyone, welcome to 2013. Welcome back to Southside Dodge Rebels this week. We all hope you had a very safe, fun, and happy holiday season. It's time to get back at her. The Rebels have been busy since we last joined you for a live episode. So here's a quick recap of the games that the Rebels have played since we shot our last show. The Rebels played their final game before Christmas versus the Kootenay Ice. The Rebs got all the offense they needed in the first period, starting with a goal from Reese Dino less than 4 minutes in. 3 minutes later, Christian Stockel converted on a pass from Jesse Miller for his second of the year, his first as a Rebel. Miller also got his first WHL point on the goal. Wyatt Johnson, Kevin Pochak, and Turner Elson would all score to give the Rebels a 5-0 first period lead. Eric Benoit would get the ice on the board in the second. Neither team scored in the third. The Rebels won their final game before Christmas 5-1. In their first game after Christmas, the Rebels visited the Edmonton Oil Kings. A traffic snag led to the Rebs arriving at the rink much later than usual. Would they still be ready for this one? Thanks to Bolton Pouliot, the answer was yes. Bolton was absolutely superb, playing perhaps his best ever game as a Rebel, making 53 saves. Meantime, Wyatt Johnson scored just 1:18 into the game to kickstart the Rebels' offense. Turner Elson, Matthew Dumba with a pair, and Tyson Ness would also score as the Rebels upset the Oil Kings 5-3. Now, could the Rebels upset the reigning league champions twice in a row? Well, not exactly. TJ Foster scored just 2 minutes into the first period, setting the stage for a big night for the Oil Kings. Edmonton led 3-0 after the first period, 4-0 after two. Joel Hamilton scored 9 seconds into period 3 for the Rebels, but Edmonton replied with 2 more of their own. The Oil Kings crowned the Rebels by a score of 6-1. Two nights later, the Rebels were back in home action versus the Brandon Wheat Kings. This was the third meeting of the season between the Rebels and Wheaties, Brandon winning both of the previous two in their own rink. Brooks Maxwell scored first for Red Deer on an early two-man advantage. Bolton Pouliot was pulled after the Wheaties tied it just minutes later. These two teams traded goals back and forth the rest of the way. Brandon led 5-3 before the Rebels tied it with 2 goals, a minute and 18 apart in the third period. But Michael Furland would give the Wheat Kings a 6-5 lead midway through the third period, and they would hang on for the 1-goal victory. The crowd at the NMAX Centrium erupted when hometown boy Scott Fazer scored his first ever Western Hockey League goal, tying the game 5-5. Fazer tipped home a pass from Brooks Maxwell, making for a huge thrill for one of Red Deer's own.
It feels pretty good. I don't really have much else to say about that. It's pretty special, especially to do it in my hometown. I used to be one of those kids in the stands, and just to do it here at home, and I don't really have much words for it.
A few nights later, the Rebels hit the road to Cranbrook to take on the Kootenay Ice. Sam Reinhart opened the scoring for Kootenay with his 14th of the season midway through the first period. The Ice doubled their lead in the second when Luke Philp went top shelf on Bolton Pouliot. The Rebels struck 8 minutes into the period as Reese Dino let go with a one-timer, slicing the Ice's lead to 2-1. The Rebels had life until Philp struck again, making it 3-1. Jeff Hubick added an empty netter for a 4-1 Kootenay win. After coming home from that midweek game in Cranbrook, the Rebels were here on Friday night to play their one and only game this season versus the Vancouver Giants. The Rebels opened the scoring just past the midway point of the opening period when Turner Elson netted his 12th of the season. That set the stage for another wild one as the Rebels and Giants would trade blows all night long. With the Giants holding a 2-goal lead, Dominic Volek erased that deficit by scoring his first 2 goals as a Rebel, including one in the final second of the middle period. This game would need a shootout to decide a winner, and after being pulled in the second period, Bolton Pouliot came back into the Rebels' net for the shootout. Unfortunately, Brent Sutter's move did not pay off as he had hoped. Brett Kulak scored the game winner in round 4. Vancouver pulled out a 5-4 win.
You battle back and, you get the lead and, we make a mistake in our zone where we don't stop on a puck and, and then it's in our net. And, but you hit a crossbar right at the end and then it gets to a shootout and anything can happen and, it's tough.
Despite being the Rebels' best player in a loss Wednesday night at Cranbrook, Brent Sutter not at all pleased with Bolton Pouliot's play versus Vancouver.
Obviously, he wasn't sharp tonight, and that hurt us. And at the end of the night, again, this is major junior hockey, and you might look at that, say, well, geez, Sutter's hard on the goaltender. Well, this is major junior, next level is pro, and you need goaltending to have some success, and and it is what it is. So we just have to move on.
After that disappointing setback against Vancouver, the Rebels were back in action for their second game in as many nights right here at the Edmax Centrium versus the Moose Jaw Warriors. After coming on in relief of Bolton Pouliot versus Vancouver, Grant Naherniak made his first ever Western Hockey League start versus Moose Jaw. Matt Bellerive intercepts a pass in the Warriors' zone, tries to find Turner Elson out front, but the captain can't get a stick on it. Tyson S. comes in from the right side and fires, but is denied by Justin Pollock. Dominic Volek works the give and go with Reese Dino before sliding it out front to Elson. He makes no mistake, going top shelf for his 13th of the year, 1-0 Rebels. Sam Fioretti looks to get Moose Jaw on the board, but Naherniak reaches out to grab that one. Volek forces a turnover at center ice and goes in all alone. He tries to go 5-hole, but Pollock shuts the door. Warriors get on the board when Fioretti charges hard toward the net. Tanner Eberle finds the puck and scores his 9th, 1-1 early in period 2. Later in the same frame, Tyson S. would score, giving Red Deer a 2-1 lead through 40. In the third, Colton McCarthy walks out from the corner, tries to outweight Naherniak, but rings his shot off the post. Justin Kirsch walks the line and fires a long shot that gets through a maze of players and past Naherniak. The power play marker ties the game at 2. But the Rebels respond as the puck makes its way to Dominic Volek. He slides home his 3rd of the weekend, 3-2 Rebels. Moose Jaw replies again, however. Jordan Messier gets just enough of Carter Hansen's pass to chip it over the goal line. It's another power play marker for the Warriors, 3-3 with less than 3 minutes left. Rebels shorthanded again when Dumba shoots and is stopped, but he sticks with the play and steals it back. Dumba roofs it past Pollock. The fans blow the roof off the Centrium. Matty's 10th of the year puts his team up 4-3. Dying seconds of the period, Grant Naherniak makes a pair of outstanding saves to preserve the lead. The Rebels hang on to win a thriller 4-3, ending their 4-game losing skid.
We battled hard. It was great to see Grant play as well as he did tonight. It was an exceptional game on his part. He made some big saves for us at key times, and it was a pretty even game, and it was an intense game, and there was a lot of different things that were going on, and the last 5 minutes was a long 5 minutes with the penalties and stuff too, and then scoring a shorthanded goal obviously was a great individual effort on Matty's part, and it was a big goal obviously for us, but we played, it's probably our most complete game we've had since Christmas time.
Dominic Volek scoring his 3rd goal in 2 games for the Rebels. The big story, obviously, Grant Naherniak picking up his first ever Western Hockey League win.
Pretty good. I thought I got the monkey off my back finally. I bounced back from one rough game my start, but I really think I picked it up today to get the win. Felt like I won the lottery. It's the biggest smile on my face. It was just full of excitement. Yeah, it was a good win.
Our final game on this week's show took place Sunday night as the Rebels, for the second time in less than a week, visited the Kootenay Ice. Rebels open the scoring when Hayden Fleury crosses the Kootenay line and drops it for Turner Elson, who wires home his 14th of the year, 1-0 Rebels. Joey Leach shoots from the point. It goes wide, but the Rebels are caught flat-footed, and Sam Reinhart scores in the final second of the second period. It's 1-1. Then it's Eric Benoit who takes over for Kootenay. He beats Pouliot glove side to put the ice up 2-1. Less than 4 minutes later, Benoit strikes again. He takes the pretty pass from Luke Philp to make it 3-1. Rebels keep fighting late in the third, and it's Matt Bellerive who steals the puck and beats Mackenzie Skapski for his 9th of the year, making it 3-2, but that's as close as they'd get. The Rebels lose to Kootenay for the second time this week. Eric Benoit, the difference maker for Kootenay, with a pair of goals in the third period. Bolton Pouliot doing his part for the Rebels with 45 saves. Well, there you go. You saw what happened on the ice. Now here's what the Rebels players had to say about what happened on the ice in those few games.
Obviously, we're not doing the best like we did before, and we got to get back to us working hard. We're not working hard in the corners. We're not battling, and personally, I'm doing well, but I'm still not battling as hard as I should be, and we got to get back to that to get us to win a game.
9-game win streak. We were playing pretty well there. pretty consistent ever since we came back. We've had one good period here, 2 bad periods. Haven't been able to really put together a full 60-minute effort. I think Moose Jaw, we kind of took a step forward there, and then we took another one back last night. And I think, people can say we didn't have our full lineup or whatever, but I think that's just an excuse. And, we just need to get back to kind of having the swagger we had before. I think we were a pretty confident group. And, when, like I said, when we were on the 9-game win streak, we just kind of had a feeling that no matter what, if we stuck to our game plan, we'd win the game. And I think right now we're kind of, 1 goal goes in against us, we kind of hang our heads and lose the momentum. And hockey's a huge game of momentum, and the way you think the game. If you don't have energy on the bench after a goal like last night, they scored their second goal and our whole team kind of died on the bench, and I think that's that hurts us. So we just need to get back to working hard, and we're not the most skilled team, but I think the way we won all those games was just doing little things right and chipping pucks in and just everyone doing their own jobs. And I think if we get back to that, I think we'll be all right.
Turner Elson continues to lead the Rebels with 30 points on the season. He's also the leader in goals with 14. Rebels still right in the middle of the Central Division standings, but all of a sudden getting some heat from below from the Lethbridge Hurricanes. Here's what's on tap for the Rebels this week. Wednesday night they visit the Swift Current Broncos, then it's on to Saskatoon for a Friday night matchup. Saturday they finish their 3-game road trip at Prince Albert. Coming up after the break, while they weren't in uniform for the Rebels, there were some players who were busy playing elsewhere during the holidays. Southside Dodge Rebels This Week is presented by Southside Dodge Chrysler Jeep in Red Deer, Alberta. Welcome back to Southside Dodge Rebels This Week. Well, this time around, the Rebels only had one player taking part in the World Junior Hockey Championships. It was starting goaltender Patrick Bartosak. He had the thrill of suiting up for his native Czech Republic in Ufa, Russia. After riding the pine for the first game, Patrick took over the starting role between the pipes and led the Czech Republic to a 5th-place finish at the tournament. Bartosak went 4-1 at the World Juniors with a 2.74 goals against average and an .896 save percentage. 2 more Rebels players were off competing at the World Under-17 Hockey Challenge in Quebec during the holidays. Connor Bleakley suited up for Team Pacific. Bleakley finished with 4 points in 5 games as Pacific finished 5th overall at the event. Hayden Fleury, meantime, played for Team West. The blue liner had 3 points in 5 games played. Also, Rebels prospect Vuki Mapafu played for Team West. He had 2 points in 3 games.
It was a good experience. Me going up against some of the best players in the world for forwards was really good to see those guys, how they play, how good they move the puck it was really good.
The biggest thing was that European competition. They play a really different style than I'm used to, especially in the dub. And I think just a measuring stick for me up against the best guys in the world at my age. And I think that I'm right where I expected to be, and I got more room to grow. And that's what I'm going to try and do with the second half of the season here.
The 35th edition of the Max Tournament wrapped up in Calgary recently with the Vancouver Northwest Giants beating Carolina in the final. The Rebels had 6 prospects in this year's tournament, including 2 playing for the Red Deer Optimist Chiefs. The end of the NHL lockout has a fairly minimal impact on the Rebels. Turner Elson will be remaining with the team, while Matt Dumba will be off to training camp with Minnesota.
Matty being a 7th pick overall in the NHL draft, he had to think or assume that if the lockout ended at some point, Matt could be leaving us and going in for a few days and understanding and learning what the pro level's about and getting ready and how those guys practice and how they just do everything. That's why they're pros and that's why they're elite athletes. And Minnesota, I totally support it and I understand it, and that's it's the best thing for Matt, and that's what it's all about is for these players to go through those experiences and learn and allow them to get better and grow, and in the meantime we'll weather through it while he's gone, and when he comes back we'll be a better team for it just because of the experience that he went through, and then it's our job to continue to help with Matt's progression along with Minnesota to get him ready to whenever that may be to be a consistent player at the National Hockey level.
Yet another new addition made his arrival to the Red Deer Rebels after the Christmas break. Dominic Volek is the newest forward. With more on him, here's Jared Waldo.
Dumba snaps a shot, tip, scores!
He's the son of a former NHLer. His old man played with his new head coach. Dominic Volek arrived in Red Deer on Boxing Day, joining the Rebels as another addition to make the team deeper up front. So far, it's been a nice transition. After a slowish start with the Rebels, Volek has picked up the pace, scoring 3 times and putting up 5 points in his first 7 games. Volek says he was happy when he got the word he was crossing the pond from the Czech Republic to central Alberta.
I was home at Christmas after I got home from Sweden, so then the brand called that he made a trade, so I was happy, you know, and then he said I have to come here 26th of December, so I can enjoy home and be with my family, so I was really excited to come back to Canada.
Volek spent a season in Regina last year, scoring 14 times in 70 games with the Pats. After electing to play in Sweden instead of returning to the Queen City, Volek now finds himself back in the WHL, something he wanted all along.
You know, the Regina doesn't work, but I still want to play here, so I'm happy I can be back.
Coach and GM Brent Sutter had to give up Mark McCoy and Philip Vasco, who had a cup of tea with the Rebels before joining McCoy en route to Regina. But Volek brings an element of offense that could really benefit the Rebels now and next season. Volek's father David played with Sutter 20 years ago when the two suited up for the New York Islanders, something Dominic talked about with his father before coming to Red Deer.
He said you're going to see that he's a good guy, you know. He don't tell me a lot, but he said he's a fair guy who can make young players better players to the NHL, so I was happy to be here and be the part of the Sutter's organization.
Volek spent the first half of the season playing with men in Sweden and, not surprisingly, noticed there was a big difference between playing there and playing Canadian junior hockey.
It was really hard practices. Off ice, we practice 3 times a day, you know. We have off ice 2 times a day, one time on the ice, so I think I'm good prepared for the Canadian style now. So, and I practice sometimes with the pro hockey with the men, so it was good experience. I played a couple games with them, so yeah, that's it.
While he's found some early chemistry, especially on the power play with Reese Dino and Turner Elson, it's the man between the pipes that Volek is excited about playing alongside in Red Deer more than others.
We met a couple times in Czech on the national team, so I know Patrick. He's a very good goalie and very good guy. Sometimes he's crazy, but that's a lot of Czech guys are crazy, so yeah, I'm looking forward to see him.
Crazy's okay, and so far the Rebels will take crazy all day long. For Rebels This Week, I'm Jared Waldo.
Time now for another installment of Train Like a Rebel, and for that, we check in with Jack at 360 Fitness.
Hi everyone, Jack here from 360 Fitness Personal Training, and Happy New Year. A lot of times clients come in on New Year's and they say, where the heck do I start? So we always give our clients 5 simple New Year's resolution goals. Don't make it extreme, don't make it overwhelming. Start slow, start steady, and you'll see a lot better results. Number 1, start eating small, frequent meals. So have 5-6 meals throughout the day, nice balanced portions. 2, start drinking your water. Try to shoot for about 2 to maybe 3-4 liters a day. Start with that and work your way up. Number 3, get your sleep, right? Sleep to 7 to 8 hours a night. It's gonna help you throughout the day. You're gonna have better energy, better mood, better attitude, maybe more effective at your workplace. The list goes on and on and on. Number 4, hit the weights. So actually just start going to the gym. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, you know, start with once, maybe twice a week, 30-minute workouts, that kind of thing, but start off slow and steady. Don't try to go every single day the first week in January and set yourself up for failure. Number 5, get a goal planner. Write this stuff down. Just get a piece of paper, step 1, step 2, step 3. If you have a plan in place, you'll have a much better chance of succeeding rather than disappointment. Happy New Year.
Coming up after the break, Jared Waldo joins us as we go in the corners, and we'll check in with news and notes from around the Western Hockey League.
Miette a 2-on-1 with Johnson. Miette stops. Over to Johnson.
Hey Red Deer Rebels fans, have we got the show for you? Southside Dodge Rebels This Week is your #1 source for everything Rebels.
Nice hit and save.
Highlights, interviews, stats, and exclusive behind-the-scenes features brought to you each and every week by those who have their eye on the Rebels all season long.
He's back to the middle.
Southside Dodge Rebels This Week, weeknights on Shaw TV.
Well, even though the Rebels are well past the halfway point of their season, this is our first new show since the halfway point of the season. So, Wally, it's time to do a bit of a mid-season report card, and let's break this down into different areas. We'll start between the pipes. Discuss the goaltending. What grade would you give the netminders?
Well, I think it's a tale of two different netminders, and I think with Patrick Bartasek, he's given you everything you've asked from him so far this season. We talked about it before. He started off a little slow, but since then he's been the elite level goaltender that the Rebels have expected from him. And he played well over in the World Junior Hockey Championships. Now coming back and rejoining the Rebels as they make their way down the stretch towards the playoffs, he's going to be a key factor as he's been all season. Bolton Pouliot, it's been an up and down kind of season, and he kind of reminds me of the way the Rebels were playing early on, that inconsistency, that up and down. Some games he's really good, and other games, like that game against Brandon, the game against the Vancouver Giants, not sharp at all. So, but if he knows that he's coming in and maybe not with the stress and the pressures of that number one role, he is a reliable backup goaltender. So I would give the goaltending an A-.
And Grant Naherniak gave us a glimpse into the future with some good performances and his first ever win.
Yeah, and that was great for him, especially after the game, all smiles, happy to get that win under his belt. And, for a kid who came in and pretty much just expected to be there in case and winds up going in a couple of times, seeing more minutes than he probably expected and doing well, getting his first win. It's really encouraging for the Rebels to know that, you got guys like Naherniak and Berman coming up and, to have some replacements for when Patty Bartasek and Bolton Pouliot move on. So really good to see that from him.
We move on from goaltending to the defensemen, and a little bit of juggling here and there due to injuries and lineup changes and stuff like that. Where would you grade the defensemen?
Well, again, that one's tough too because we've seen injuries. We've seen Detzel miss a lot of time this season. Brady Godet missed some time with the right or with the wrist there, and and with Fleury gone to the U17. So they played well. I think they've been there are times when they could have been a little bit better. Matty Dumba's he's really starting to come around now, playing at that level where the Rebels need him. And, Hayden Fleury, I think, from a kid who started out as a rookie, started out slow, got a lot of ice time early on, but has really come around to adapt well to the Western Hockey League game. So I think that, I'd give him a B+. Not quite exactly at the level they probably need to be at, but once they get healthy and get all these pieces back now down to the stretch towards the playoffs, I think if they can get some consistency on that back end and guys like Riley Boomgarden can get healthy and Pochak and Teal can stay healthy and just kind of insert themselves whenever they're needed, I think the Rebels will be okay.
The group of forwards is almost completely overhauled since we did this at the start of the season, but we've seen that it's an improving group throughout the year.
Well, and it's balanced, I guess, is the biggest thing. You don't see anybody running away with a scoring lead on this team. I mean, Turner Elson leads it, and that's what you expect from a 20-year-old and a captain. But the addition of Reese Dino is something for this team that has been very, very helpful. And, he was Rebels Player of the Month for December, and for good reason, averaging a point a game and really finding some nice chemistry with Elson and Maxwell. And now we've seen it with Dominic Volek, another player who was at it and, again, started a little bit slow, but now that he's come around has really provided a lot of depth and some offense for the Rebels. And, and then they've got pieces up and down. Tyson Ness has been good. Joel Hamilton's been good. And then, when you think about the bottom six as well, they've gotten scoring from lots of different directions. And, the players that have been inserted in, the Scott Phasers and Christian Stockels, they're not getting a lot of ice time, but when they're out there, they're not hurting them. So I think if you can get that and you can get some offense from your top six forwards, a little bit from your third line, and then just good solid efforts every shift from your fourth line, and which the Rebels have got for the most part. There have been times when they've struggled offensively, but I think for the most part they've been well. I'd give them a B+ as well.
And we'll see how they do moving forward when they get some guys back in the lineup, Connor Bleakley, and like the defensemen, there's some guys that are up front that are playing banged up too. We'll skip grading the coaches because what are we going to say about the boss man behind the bench? Obviously, the impact was there with that 9-game winning streak and bringing Jeff Truitt in and Bryce Tolman's there. They're doing their job. Well, they're doing a good job, and I think the biggest thing that I've seen from Brent Sutter is since he's come back from the National Hockey League, he seems to be a little more relaxed, and it reminds me of Ken Hitchcock when players said that he was very strict and very intense, but a couple years away from the game comes back in and he's changed because he's realized he's had to, and I don't know if that's 100% accurate with Brent, but you see at certain situations on the bench when in years past when he was coaching junior that he might have been really fired up, but a situation against Moose Jaw, the late penalty, and they get scored on and you almost expect him to walk down and kick a water ball. He doesn't do that. He stays composed, and I think that the players feed off that as well, and I think he's really done
done an exceptional job since he's taken over from Jesse Wallen, and having a guy like Jeff Truitt there, a guy with a lot of experience and wins championships. I mean, that's an asset that you can't pick up anywhere as well. So I think the coaching's done a fantastic job.
We're going to take a bit of a gamble here and talk about the trade deadline, even though it's a few days away from this taping. What's there left for the Rebels to do? They've done their tinkering from September right up until almost last week.
And Brent said from day one, like, he's going to make this team his own, and he's going to move in the pieces that he sees that need to be there. And I think for the Red Deer Rebels, if you take a look at the roster up and down, I don't know what you do. I know there are some fans who think that Bolton Pouliot just isn't the guy to back up Bartasek, that he needs to be moved, but I disagree. I think Bolton can slide in and stay in that number 2 role and be a definite asset for the Rebels. And up front, I mean, you've got 12 guys that, when healthy, I mean, you don't win 11 of 13 games for no reason. I mean, the Rebels have proven that they are, and they're in that upper echelon. They're in that upper half of the Eastern Conference, sitting in a home playoff spot, right? So you don't want to tinker too much. If they have the opportunity to bring in a 20-year-old player, they do have that option. I don't know if they're going to, and if you do, where are you getting it from? What are you giving up for it? And we've seen it in years past at the trade deadline. I mean, the prices for some of these top-end players that you need to bring in, they're outrageous. So I don't see Brent Sutter pulling the trigger. I mean, this team is maybe built for next season, and I don't know necessarily if you want to make too many changes to give up some of the youth you have coming in, like an Adam Musil. But I would think the Sutter and the Rebels will stand pat.
We'll see what happens. Never a dull moment.
Never in Red Deer.
Thanks, Wally.
Thanks.
Jared Waldo for In the Corners. Now it's time to do as we do each and every week, to check in with news and notes from around the Western Hockey League. Well, that does it for this week's show. Glad you were able to join us. Happy New Year for 2013. We'll see you again next week. Oh, hey, don't forget, check us out on our website, rebelsthisweek.com, and on Twitter at rebelsthisweek.
Leading a 3-on-2. Left wall, Mayer hits the trailing Williams. Back to Mayer on the left wing. Looks to center. They score. A pretty play by the Regina Pats.
Bohm on right wing, back in for the trailer Ozlansky. Peter here's in front. They score. What a great three-way passing play. Bohm on the feet.
Because Doty was stuck in deep and out of line.
Franco Burleson. Peterbilt!
Working left circle, Klemchuk. Right side, saved by Paul. Goal! Sends it right wide at center for Conroy. Scores! Great three-way passing play.
Ricochet down to Gordon, down the left wing. He's got Cave and Lowry with him. Gordon cutting to the net. Shoots! Scores!
Cody Gordon! What a shot!
Beaverton, Del Olsen, back door.
Broken up by Andrew Johnson. He's taken down as Potomac drives the net. Score!